In the last few minutes, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson responding to President Trump's post on Truth Social. Trump called for both of them to be thrown in jail, says Pritzker and Johnson are not protecting ICE agents. Pritzker tweeted in part that he will not back down. Mayor Johnson tweeted in part, "I'm not going anywhere."
Mayor, I just read what the president just sent out today, saying that the governor and Mayor of Chicago should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. As I've already mentioned, the ICE facility that's kind of been a central focus for weeks now is in your very small town. What is your reaction to the president when he says that?
Well, he has his right to his opinions, and I severely disagree with that. We have a right to protect our communities. We have a right to protect the state of Illinois, and we didn't ask for the National Guard.
Black people in Chicago, let's get this clear for the record so nobody is confused, right? In 2020 and 2021, when Democrats, specifically Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, flooded Chicago with the illegal, undocumented criminal invaders, y'all didn't have nothing to say about that, right? When the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, gave them benefits, millions, prepaid EBT cards with $10,000 on it, prepaid Visa cards, 6 months worth of free rent, free health care, free child care. Y'all were okay with that. And then you all continue to be okay with it by going out and voting for Kamala Harris to continue what she was doing with the open borders, right? Now that ICE is there to actually do something about it, right? With Trump's mandate, now you all are boohoo, whining and crying, complaining that ICE is coming to black neighborhoods. What the hell is wrong with y'all? Where else are they supposed to go when that's where y'all allowed them to go? You see, Democrats didn't put these illegals in Oak Brook or Oak Park or Evanston, in any of the white neighborhoods, yet you got the white liberals downtown protesting to keep those people there because they know that they're in black neighborhoods. And y'all goofy. Y'all falling for this. Y'all voted for Kamala Harris, and now y'all are protesting ICE coming to black neighborhoods to remove these criminal invaders. Y'all are calling ICE racist for coming to the black neighborhoods. Well, why are they coming to the black neighborhoods? Because that's where you all allowed them to go. So tell me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave without telling me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave.
Boy. So once again, we got to talk about woke Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Probably my favorite topic to talk about. Mainly because Brandon Johnson told us that anybody who does not live in Chicago should not be talking about Chicago. We should not be covering the news coming out of Chicago. And since that day, I promised that I am going to cover Chicago as much as possible. Just to piss this guy off, okay? Because it is extremely funny when this guy is pissed off. He's probably extremely pissed off now because the President of the United States is calling for him and Governor J.B. Pritzker to be jailed, okay? And rightfully so, because I believe that they are materially obstructing ICE. They're obstructing federal law enforcement. First and foremost, you have Brandon Johnson signing an executive order to create ICE-free zones in the city of Chicago, places where ICE can't go, right? Obstruction. And on top of that, there are questions about whether or not the leadership in Chicago is allowing police officers, to help protect ICE agents who are constantly under attack from domestic extremists engaged in terrorism in the city of Chicago over ICE doing their jobs. Again, there are a lot of questions about what happened this weekend when ICE agents needed assistance, and the leadership in Chicago's police department told them to not assist ICE and to focus their priorities elsewhere. Take a look.
We're hearing from a lot of rank-and-file Chicago cops who say that they are outraged that they were ordered to stand down after federal agents were attacked. The communication for the stand down appears to have come from the chief of patrol himself over the communications platform with the Office of Emergency Management and Communication, reading very clearly, no units will respond to this. Multiple police sources have confirmed that that message is authentic, and it is backed up by audio of the stand-down order.
So the chief of patrol clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Police in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Police in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Now, the official statement from Chicago Police Department reads, CPD responded to the scene to document the incident. CPD officers were also on the scene to maintain public safety and traffic control. It happened in Brighton Park. The scene was triggered when two individuals allegedly rammed a Border Patrol vehicle with their cars. Border Patrol agents shot the driver of one of the allegedly attacking vehicles. The drivers are now charged federally, but the incident triggered a riot. That's when the calls for help went out. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just moments ago dodged questions about whether that order tracks back to him, but he says he doubts the narrative of the Border Patrol agents.
They claimed it was defensive fire, but frankly, we cannot trust anything that comes out of the administration. We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk.
And we knew this was coming, but the Illinois Attorney General has just made it official. The state of Illinois is now suing the Trump administration, claiming that the president is using American soldiers to punish his political enemies.
All right, y'all, quick break from the show because this is important. Look, we talk a lot here about standing up for yourself, not letting big corporations, the government, or anybody else push you around. But what happens when real life hits, car accidents, workplace injuries, medical mistakes, and suddenly you're the little guy going up against a massive insurance company? Well, that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. There's a reason reporters never run out of breaking news. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've recovered over $25 billion for 500,000 clients with more than 1,000 lawyers nationwide, and they're built on one simple idea: for the people. That means when you're hurt, you don't pay them a dime up front. They only get paid if you win. And trust me, these big companies have teams of big lawyers working against you. You need somebody just as powerful fighting for you. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. If you're injured because of somebody else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. So if you've been hurt in an accident, at work, or anywhere in between, don't roll the dice alone. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Because at the end of the day, protecting yourself and your family isn't just common sense. It's conservative values in action. So there are a lot of questions about whether or not the leadership of the city of Chicago and of the state of Illinois, are they going out of their way to obstruct the Trump administration? I mean, I think that the answer to that question is yes.
You said earlier that federal agents who violate your executive order would be committing a criminal offense. I want to hear more.
Civil.
Well, I want to hear more about that. Do you think that they should be charged with a crime? How would enforcement on that work for the criminal component?
They should be charged with a crime because it is a crime.
By who?
By the entity that they're violating, the city of Chicago. It's a crime. Here's the thing. Anyone who commits a crime should be charged. I mean, isn't that the basic rule of what they ostensibly refer to as law and order? How do you expect people to respect your ability to carry out law and order if you don't follow it yourself?
So do you want the state's attorney to charge them?
I'm saying that they should be held accountable.
Okay, and the more that they obstruct, the more that they allow their agents of chaos to attack ICE, to assault ICE, to commit acts of terrorism against ICE, the stronger case that has been made for the president to deploy the National Guard, which is what he's currently trying to do. And some Democrats have caught on to what's happening here, the fact that this is chess, not checkers, and they're begging the protesters to stop, right? They're saying, hey, listen, guys, this is not good, because the more that we commit these acts of domestic terrorism against ICE, the more excuses that it gives the Trump administration to bring in the military.
I want to play for you something, because Portland is another prominent city facing something of what you're dealing with in Illinois. My colleague Shimon Prokupez spoke with a congresswoman from Portland who is there and begging protesters at an ICE facility there to leave, because what she says is that outrage is exactly what the administration is looking for. Let me play for you what this congresswoman says.
By going to that facility, people are not being strategic. You know, at this moment in time, being protesting in the streets is absolutely important. Just don't protest right there, because then you're playing into their story that is not the reality, as you can see looking around here. You become part of a war zone narrative if they decide that that's the time they're going to go out there and provoke.
Do you agree with her? I mean, would you like to see the protesters leave? Because I know that you have signed an executive order to limit the hours that protesters can protest at the facility.
Oh, absolutely. We know that ICE don't respect local laws. They don't respect First Amendment speech and assembly, and the Fourth Amendment unlawful in assembly. So absolutely. And we want to make sure that the people that visit our town every day, that they're safe and they feel protected. By going into that facility is just going to incite other things that can take place. And we just want people to be safe, but be able to exercise their freedom of speech.
But you'd like to see the protesters leave. You think they're playing into the administration's hands by protesting outside the facility?
Well, emotions are high right now, right? And so when we channel that emotion of anger, sometimes we don't think rationally. And so we as local leaders have to put protocols in place to keep people safe. It's not to restrain or put a ban on anything. It's in the best interest of them. And sometimes people just don't know what's best for them because of the anger that they are facing or the challenges that they want to see changed from their lens. But I agree with her that, we asking you all to stay away from the facility because it's going to create more problems.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, while Democrats are low-key trying to blame ICE, they're saying, well, ICE, they're the ones that are inciting, right? But yet they're telling the woke extremists, hey, it's probably best if y'all stay away from the facility, right? Stop doing all of this rioting that you're doing at the facility because, honestly, it's not working out in our favor, right? It's just not a good look, and it's helping out the administration. So, with that being said, we have to react to this interview on CNN featuring woke Mayor Brandon Johnson, who, of course, is going to run to CNN, boo-hoo, whine, and cry about racism over the president, calling for him to be jailed because of his obstruction of federal law enforcement. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. So, Mayor, we're going to get to the National Guard in just a minute. But first, President Trump this morning called for you, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. What is your response?
Well, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America, and we're going to defend all of Chicago.
Yeah, and to be clear, he's also calling for the governor, J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed as well.
Yeah, it's not just a black thing, right? I'm not sure if she pointed that out on purpose to dispel the race narrative that Brandon Johnson is pushing here. But regardless, that clarification was very important because this is not about racism, okay? It's about the fact that these Democrats are obstructing, okay? And we're sick and tired of the obstruction. The mass deportations are not going to stop. We warned you time and time and time again. We gave you time to cooperate. We told you what we're going to do. Okay, we're not playing games anymore. I don't care how much these people kick, scream, and cry, right? They claim that it's racist. The ICE raids are not going to stop. The mass deportations are not going to stop, period. Okay, so if you're not going to get out of the way, then you're going to jail, period.
What are you hearing when it comes to the Texas National Guard troops, when they'll actually be deployed into the city, what they're actually going to be doing there?
Well, there's been no communications with my administration and the federal government. What we do know is that this president is working outside the bounds of the Constitution and that there are National Guard from the state of Texas that are being, quote unquote, trained just outside of the city of Chicago. And keep in mind, these individuals do not have policing powers. They do not have arresting powers. So the judge right now in Illinois is looking at what exactly is the mission of the National Guard from the state of Texas. We know this.
Well, I mean, the mission is simple: to protect ICE, right? Because Chicago PD clearly doesn't want to do it, right? So, yeah, I mean, the mission is protect ICE. Now, here's the thing. Woke Mayor Brandon Johnson says there's no communication between my administration and the Trump administration. My question is, why? Are you not trying to reach out to the Trump administration? Like, if I was the mayor of Chicago, right? Yeah, if I had a 7% approval rating, you know, I probably would be reaching out to the president saying, hey, look, Mr. President, how can we help each other in this situation, right? How can we cooperate in a way that is mutually beneficial to both of us, right? My approval rate is in the tank, and I need some help, right? And the crazy part about it is I don't see what is the downside of this, right? Outside of, I don't know, Brandon Johnson losing progressive support, what's the downside? What is the downside? I don't get it. I really don't understand it. But the fact that his team is not even trying to communicate with the President of the United States, with the Trump administration, it just tells you everything you need to know. These people are not interested in solutions. They're not interested in conversations. They're not interested in coming to some rational agreement about what should be done. No, they just want to fight, right? They just want to oppose Trump no matter what.
It's illegal, unconstitutional. That's already been proven in the courts in Oregon, and we fully expect the same ruling to take place here in the state of Illinois.
And the White House says that they're doing what they're allowed to do under Title 10, the law. They say that these operations are designed to protect federal facilities and officers. And there have been some protesters around Chicago that have blocked access to the ICE facility in Broadview. Does that prove that this mobilization is needed?
No. In fact, this president is working to look, from the very beginning, we always knew that sending in the federal agents was a pretext to the National Guard. His ultimate goal is to send the military into American cities, which there aren't people who are signing up to serve and protect our democracy abroad to be then unleashed on the cities that are actually raising them. What we have seen is a full escalation from these federal agents. And a man was shot and killed. Another person was shot by federal agents. Just this past weekend, they unleashed tear gas on my local police department. Over 24 police officers were subject to this type of violent escalation. The people in Chicago are very clear about our fundamental right to protest. That is a fundamental right for our democracy, and that's what we're going to continue to protect.
Right. Now, the woman that was shot, DHS has said they did that for defensive reasons. She was car ramming, but there are certainly questions surrounding that still. But when it comes to what I had mentioned, for example, protesters blocking access to federal buildings, what is your message to those protesters? I mean, do you support them blocking access?
What I've always said is that we have to peacefully assemble, and we do that nonviolently. That is how we have transformed this country. The city of Chicago is known for its ability to stand up and to resist peacefully. So, of course, we're not condoning any acts of violence. But that also includes that the federal government cannot unleash tear gas and shoot pepper balls at journalists for just showing up to do their job and to cover the news.
Yeah, but again, the question is, do you support them standing in front of the facility, blocking ICE and their operations? That's the question. That's the question. Okay, the question is not about all this other stuff this guy's talking about. It's about that, in which he clearly is not answering the real question, because he knows that answering the real question is not going to align with the narrative that he's trying to push, the lies that he's pushing on this network.
This president has intentionally worked to escalate violence in the city of Chicago and cities across America. We're just simply defending our fundamental right to our democracy. This president has made it very clear he doesn't support this Constitution. And if Congress, which our framers designed for Congress and the Supreme Court and the courts to provide checks and balance, if Congress will not hold this president accountable, I will.
And what are you going to do?
Well, just this past week, I signed another executive order. We have 3 sweeping executive orders to make sure that the fundamental right to protest is intact. We're making sure that people know their rights, and all of our sister agencies and city departments are working in accordance with the local ordinance. And then now public property that the city owns, ICE cannot prepare its weapons on school parking lots. ICE cannot prepare to disappear families in the parking lots of libraries. That's not what these public accommodations are for. We literally had a South Side neighborhood under siege with Black helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, where individuals who were sleeping peacefully in their communities had masked, armed men stick long guns in their faces. This is not the type of America that my ancestors, our ancestors, fought hard to create. This is a fundamental attack on our democracy. It's not about immigration. It's not about safety. It's about authoritarianism. And we're going to push back, and we're going to defend Chicago and all American cities against this tyrant.
Okay, but let me just go to the issue, like at the Chicago apartment building overnight last week. This is, according to DHS, 37 undocumented immigrants were arrested in that operation. The building was targeted because it was known to be frequented by Tren de Aragua gang members. I mean, how do you respond to people who say these sorts of efforts are making the country safer?
Now, again, look at his video footage from this raid. Where the naked zip-tied children? Where they at? Right? Where they running around at? I don't see it. I've yet to see the video footage of what allegedly happened that night. All the video footage we see do not support anything these people are talking about. Right? They claim that, well, see, they only arrested Americans, right? It's just American citizens and blacks. But I'm like, bro, all the video footage shows what clearly are illegals who are likely gang members. And again, I don't see too many black Americans being arrested, right? We don't really see that. We don't see any of the things these people are claiming.
Look, I'm working hard every single day to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. Just this past summer, we had the fewest amount of homicides since 1965. Homicides are down, shootings are down, shooting victims are down. A lot of work to be done, but we are building a safe, affordable big city in America. But I don't know if there's anybody in America that believes that armed, masked men showing up with Black Hawk helicopters, sticking guns in the faces of black women, zip-tying black children, putting immigrants in one van, putting black folks in another van. This is not what built safety. What built safety is to make sure that we're doing what I've done, working with the ATF and my local law enforcement to get illegal weapons off the streets of Chicago, guns that are being trafficked from states that voted for Donald Trump. If he was serious about safety, he would not have defunded a program of $800 million that was geared towards violence prevention. He cut the ATF budget by 30%. He has defunded our education system. He has defunded our transportation system. He is firing black women across this country. He's defunding our healthcare system. This president is absolutely out of control, and it's incumbent upon all of us, if there was ever a time for working people to unite in this country, now is that time. And the city of Chicago is going to stand firm in protecting humanity and protecting and defending our democracy.
All right, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Yeah. So, again, this guy, he has nothing except a race card, bro. He is the ultimate race baiter, right? Even CNN was like, you know, he is calling for the white governor of the state to be arrested as well, too, right? Not just the black mayor. When CNN is calling BS or your claims of racism, you know that your argument is weak, right? But, you know, hey, because the Democrats' argument is weak around protecting illegal immigrants, this is why they rage so much. This is why they're so emotional. And the reason why they're so emotional is because, again, they've lost, right? They've lost the argument on this topic, right? On this subject, they've lost, okay? And instead of admitting that they lost and recalculating their position on this issue, right? Recalculating their support for domestic extremists and, you know, violence and terrorism. No, they just double and triple down on it, right? Double and triple down. Boo, whine, and cry racism. Well, it's racist if you don't want to allow illegals to live in black neighborhoods, right? Meanwhile, you got these black liberals, like these clowns out here supporting illegal immigrant gang members living in black communities, right? But then they'll turn around and tell you how pro-black they are, right? We so pro-black that we allow illegals to live in black neighborhoods, to take the jobs of black people, to influence our children and stuff like that. But, you know, all of these black liberals seem to be more concerned about black conservatives, right? No, see, you don't understand. Black conservatives are a real problem. They're a real issue, according to a lot of these people. Again, this is part of the reason why the black community is in the current state that is in, is because they continue to elect these black faces who then turn around and do stuff like this. And then, you know, black people still, you know, support it, right? And then they turn around and claim that you're pro-black, okay? But, you know, pro-black really just means pro-democrat at this point. That's what it seems like to me. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.